Sunny Hostin, better known here on the channel as Sun Hostin, or better known here on the channel as Asuncion, KC's favorite Yenta from The View. Fun fact about Sun Hostin and how she was given the nickname Sunny. All these years, I thought Asuncion was called Sunny because she's the most radiant Yenta on The View. Her beauty, her smile, it brings light to a set that is normally clouded with powerful flatulence. Believe it or not, that is not how Sun got her nickname. Years ago, before she was collecting millions in reparations from ABC to spread stories of victimization and mythical racism on The View, Sun Hostin was a lawyer trying to launch a career in television. Do you guys remember Nancy Grace? She used to have a primetime show on HLN, the sister dump of CNN, which I believe HLN no longer exists because, much like their older sister, HLN was not drawing ratings. During her prime, though, Nancy Grace, she had a hit show on HLN where she played the role of an unhinged lunatic. Tot Mom was in court today, and let me tell you, she was looking extra guilty. Nancy would invite Asuncion on the show, but she had a lot of trouble pronouncing her name. What the hell's an Asuncion? How do I pronounce that? You have a radiant smile, darling. I'm just going to call you Sunny. And just like that, a star was born. Asuncion officially became Sun Hostin. For years now, Sun Hostin has been one of the leading voices in the mainstream media pushing for reparations. She believes that minorities, mainly African Americans, are entitled to be given large sums of money from the federal government. Why? Because, I don't know, 150, 200 years ago, their great-great-great-great-grandfather's fourth cousin might have been a victim of slavery. To be honest with you, a small part of me can understand black people's frustration. Matter of fact, our black friends should not be the only ones frustrated. All of us should be pissed off right now. Earlier this week, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, another deacon at Woke United Methodist, who automatically qualifies to work at CNN because he has two first names. Adam Eric, he decided that it would be a great idea to launch a pilot program for illegal immigrants. Translation? Reparations. He's going to spend $53 million of taxpayer money on this pilot program. $53 million of your dollars for a pilot program where I guess they are going to teach illegal immigrants how to fly planes? It's absolutely brilliant when you think about it. If Trump gets elected, Orange Man bad! If Trump gets elected and completes the border wall, it will be meaningless. It'll be useless. Now that they're trained to fly, they can fly their ass right over the border wall to the sanctuary city of their choosing. For years now, Sun Hostin, she has been pushing for similar reparations for black Americans. Last January, Sun claimed that Americans distort the legacy of Martin Luther King. When most people think of Martin Luther King, they think of judging a man by the content of his character instead of the color of his skin. Maybe he's remembered that way because that is a philosophy that people support. According to Sun Hostin, remembering Martin Luther King for that sentiment, that is distorting his legacy. Forget all that shit about character. No one cares about that. Martin Luther King was a radical. He wanted us to achieve our dream of receiving free money from the federal government. Sun also claimed that Martin Luther King was fighting for economic equality. Pretty sure we used to call that socialism, a system of government where everyone is equally miserable. Sun Hostin has been pushing the dream of reparation for years now, but there's just one problem, one tiny problem for Asuncion. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and get to the sponsor for today's video, my friends over at Angelic Imports. Gentlemen, one of the most dreaded days of the year right around the corner. This holiday had to be created by a woman as a way of putting all the pressure on her man so he could show her how much he cares about her. Most years, you have got to spend all this time thinking of that special gift that you're going to get your wife or your girlfriend for Valentine's Day. Not this year, though, because Casey's done all the thinking for you. This year, get your wife some gourmet chocolate from Angelic Imports. The chocolate offered by Angelic Imports, this is not your average gas station candy. This is high-class Gouffre chocolate, which is a German confection imported directly from the Swiss, French, and German border areas. Angelic Imports has the perfect solution for your Valentine's Day problem with their Valentine's Day box of Gouffre, which consists of 40 pieces of individually wrapped chocolate. Angelic Imports, it's also a veteran-owned business founded by a retired colonel in the United States Air Force. So not only are you solving your Valentine's Day problem, you're also supporting a proud member of our military. Click the link in the description below. Use my promo code Behind the Line to receive 10% off your first order with Angelic Imports. And make sure you place your order now because tomorrow is the cutoff to receive your order by Valentine's Day. Earlier this week, Sonny Hostin appeared on the propaganda broadcast system, better known as PBS. PBS is similar to RT in Russia or CCTV in China. It's state-run media. Over the last decade, PBS has produced a show called Finding Your Roots. I would imagine that most people have never heard of this show before because no one watches PBS in the year of our Lord 2024. The premise of the show is bringing on journalists and celebrities and digging into their ancestry. Meet Adam Sandler. He is the direct descendant of Stanley and Judith Sandler. PBS investigators were able to find out that his great-grandmother was the lunch lady in Lunch Lady Land. Pretty boring stuff, right? I mean, who gives a shit about the ancestry of Adam Sandler? No disrespect to Adam Sandler or his family, but I just don't see how it's entertaining to find out that Adam Sandler's great-great-grandfather was the best cow milker in his village. I mean, who cares? I have never watched Finding Your Roots on PBS. I don't watch PBS, period, but I would imagine that most of these episodes are painfully boring. Well, KC, the show must be a success. It's been on the air for 12 years. Yeah, that doesn't mean shit. This is PBS, the network where ratings don't matter. They have to find a way to spend your tax dollars every year, otherwise they risk losing their budget. Although most episodes are painfully boring, the episode that aired Tuesday night with Sonny Hostin, it was far from boring. The Queen of Reparations, she gave permission to PBS to trace her ancestry. With Sonny Hostin being so passionate about reparations, maybe she was hoping to find out that she was a descendant of slavery. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Asuncion had a celebratory song prepared. Celebrate reparations! It's a celebration. Unfortunately for Sonny Hostin, she wasn't in the mood to celebrate her results. Why? Watch for yourself.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots, and I think it's great for our children. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living.
I thought it was interesting that Sonny Hostin said, I guess it's a fact of life. Some people made their living off the backs of others. I thought this was interesting because that's exactly what she's accused America of doing. That's why she's calling for reparations. She claims that America was built off the backs of free labor. But let me ask you something. All afternoon, I have been reading articles about this stunning revelation into the ancestry of Sonny Hostin. Most of the headlines in the mainstream media are similar. They're sympathetic to Asuncion. For example, headline at People magazine, Sonny Hostin's mother cried after learning about her troubled past. That poor woman. I'm sure she's really torn up over something that happened a century before she was born. Let me ask you something, though. Remove Sonny Hostin from this equation and insert Donald Trump. What would the media reaction be? If it was discovered that Donald Trump's ancestors were involved with slavery, how would the mainstream media react? This is great! We were finally right about something! We told you the orange man was guilty of mythical racism! His entire fortune should be confiscated and given to the underprivileged! You know the reaction would be absolutely visceral, but when it happens to Son Hostin, the reaction is sympathetic. Earlier this morning, Son Hostin discussed her traumatic experience at PBS with her fellow Yentas on The View. Initially, Son seemed a bit remorseful. It was like her radiance had been diminished. She expressed feelings of disappointment. She was broken up that her family made their living by taking advantage of other people. But then those feelings of disappointment turned into feelings of bitterness and outrage. Watch for yourself.
At first, I was deeply disappointed.
The slave thing is a bummer.
It's a bummer.
I
still believe, I still believe in reparations, by the way, so y'all can stop texting me and emailing me and saying that I'm a white girl and that I don't deserve reparations. So I still believe in reparations. I still believe this country has a lot to do in terms of racial justice.
First of all, Sonny, I know you're my favorite Yenta and everything, but you don't deserve reparations. If Eric Adams wants to designate $53 million to help homeless people that were born in America and call it reparations, fine. Still don't like it. I don't think giving people free money does anything to help them long term, but I would rather see that money given to Americans than people who illegally came here from foreign countries. I would damn sure have a problem with it if the money was given to Son Hostin. My radiant son is worth millions of dollars. How in the hell could you possibly justify giving her reparations? Matter of fact, since Son feels so passionately about this issue, and since Son wakes up radiant every morning because she has the luxury of living a lifestyle of privilege, why doesn't Sunny Hostin donate her own money to the cause of reparations? I mean, this makes perfect sense, right? The whole premise of reparations is the federal government performing an act of contrition to people that they enslaved. Well, here we have proof that Son Hostin is the descendant of slave owners. Seems to me she's got a bill to pay. Now, of course, Son Hostin would never do that. I kept searching for a clip from The View where Son Hostin proudly donated her fortune to the cause of reparations. I couldn't find it. It's funny. The people pushing reparations, they're all about supporting the cause until that financial support comes from their own bank account. They're all about spending taxpayer money, but for some weird reason, they never want to spend their own money. Give me your thoughts on this. Sunny Hostin appears on Finding Your Roots on PBS, receives devastating news. Instead of agreeing to donate her own money on The View, she doubles down on the push for reparations. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate each one of you guys and your continued support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.